Hello and welcome to my project Joytown in Xiangjiang, China. I'll be analyzing and discussing this project with respect to its urban fabric. These are the contents of my topic. Throughout this topic, I'll be going through the history of Xiangjiang, China, economic factors, introduction about the firm, context of the site, climate and geographic analysis, project introduction, project analysis, professional critique, and then conclusion. History of Xiangjiang. Xiangjiang is a prefecture-level city in northwestern Hubei province, China, and the second largest city in Hubei by population. It was known as Jiangfen from 1950 to 2010. The Han River runs through Xiangjiang's center and divides the city north-south. The city itself is an agglomeration of two once separate cities, Fancheng and Jiangcheng, known as Jiangfan before the 2010. What remains of old Xiangjiang is located south of the Han River and contains one of the oldest still intact city walls in China, while Fancheng is located to the north of the Han River. Both cities served prominent historical roles in both ancient and pre-modern Chinese history. Today, the city has been a target of government and private investment as the country seeks to urbanize and develop the interior provinces. In 2017, population of the prefecture level city was 5.65 million, in which 3.37 million were urban residents. Jiangjiang is located at a strategic site on the middle reaches of the Han River and has witnessed several major battles in Chinese history. Jiangjiang country was first established at the location of modern Jiangcheng in early Western Han Dynasty, and the name had been used continuously for more than 2000 years until 28th century. In the final years of Eastern Han Dynasty, Jiangjiang became the capital of Jing province, ancient Jingzhou. The warlord Liu Biao governed this territory from here under Liu's rule. Jiangjiang became a major destination of the northern elite fleeing warfare in the Central Plain. In the Battle of Jiangjiang in 191 AD, Sun Jian, who was a rival warlord and the father of Sun Quan, founder of Eastern Wu, was defeated and killed. The area passed to Liu Biu after Liu Biao's death. 2 decades later, Battle of Fancheng, one of the most important battles in late Han Three Kingdoms period, was fought here, resulting in Liu Biu's loss of Jingzhou. During the early years of Jin dynasty, Jiangjiang was on the frontier between Jin and Eastern Wu. Yang Hu, the commander of Jiangjiang, was remembered for his policy of border peace. Cross-border commerce was allowed and the pressure on the Jin army was greatly relieved. Eventually, Jiangjiang accumulated sufficient supplies for 10 years, which played a key role in Jin's conquest of Wu. In the southern Song dynasty, after the Treaty of Shaoqing, Jiangjiang became a garrison city on the northern frontier of Song. During Mongol conquest of the Song dynasty, Jiangjiang together with Fancheng formed one of the greatest obstacles against the expansion of Mongol Empire. They were able to resist for 6 years before finally surrendering in the siege of Jiangjiang. In 1796, Jiangjiang was one of the centers of the White Lotus Rebellion against the Qing dynasty. Here rebel leader Wang Conger successfully organized an rebel army of 50,000 and joined the main rebel forces in Sichuan. The revolt lasted for nearly 10 years and marked a turning point in the history of Qing dynasty. In 1950, Jiangjiang and Fancheng were merged to form Jiangfan city. In later 20th century, it became a major transport hub as Handan, Jialiu and Jiangyu Railway intersect in Fancheng. The city's current boundaries were established in 1983 when Jiangqiang Prefecture was incorporated in Jiangfan City. The city was renamed to Jiangqiang in 2010. Religion. Chinese religion was originally oriented to worshipping the supreme god Zhangdi during the Xia and Zhang dynasties, with the king and diviners acting as priests and using oracle bones. The Zhou dynasty oriented it to worshipping the broader concept of heaven. A large part of Chinese culture is based on the notion that a spiritual world exists. Countless methods of divination have helped answer questions. Even serving as an alternative to medicine, folklores have helped fill the gap between things that cannot be explained. There is often a blurred line between myth, religion, and unexplained phenomenon. Many of these stories have since evolved into traditional Chinese holidays. Other concepts have extended to the outside of mythology into spiritual symbols such as door god and the imperial guardian lions. Along with the belief of the holy, there is also the evil. Practices such as Taoist exorcism, fighting Mogwai and Jiangxi with peachwood swords are just some of the concepts passed down from generations. A few Chinese fortune telling rituals are still in use today, after thousands of years of refinement. Culture. From the Qin dynasty to the late Qing dynasty, 221 BC to 1840 AD, the Chinese government divided Chinese people into four classes: landlord, peasant, craftsman, and merchant. Landlord and peasant constituted the two major classes, while merchant and craftsmen were collected into the two minor. Theoretically, except for the position of the emperor, nothing was hereditary. China's majority ethnic group, the Han Chinese, are an East Asian ethnic group and nation. They constitute approximately 92% of the population of China, 95% of Taiwan, Han Taiwanese, 76% of Singapore, 23% of Malaysia, and about 17% of global population, making them the world's largest ethnic group, numbering over 1.3 billion people. In modern China, there are 56 officially labeled ethnic groups. Throughout Chinese history, many non-Chinese ethnic groups have assimilated with the Han Chinese, retained their distinct ethnic identities, or faded away. At the same time, the Han Chinese majority has maintained distinct linguistic and regional cultural traditions throughout the ages. The term Zhonghu, Minzu, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese has been used to describe the notion of the Chinese nationalism in general. Much of the traditional identity within the community has to do with distinguishing the family name. Geography. Yangqiang is located on the middle reaches of the Han Shu, a major tributary of the Yangtze River. It borders Shizhou to the east, Jingmen and Yichang to the south, Shennongjia and Xi'an to the west, and Nanyang, Henan to the north. Its administrative border has a total length of 1,332.8 km. Yangqiang has a monsoon-influenced, four-season humid subtropical climate, with cold, damp but comparatively dry winters and hot, humid summers. Economical factors. Yangqiang possesses large water energy resources, whilst its mineral deposits include rutile, ilmenite, phosphorus, barite, coal, iron, aluminum, gold, manganese, nitrate, and rock salt. The reserves of rutile and ilmenite rank highly in China. Textile production is the mainstay industry of Yangqiang, followed by the machinery manufacture, chemical processing, electronics, and manufacture of construction materials. Agricultural resources are significant with Jiangkyang's chief farm products, including grain, cotton, vegetable, oil crops, tobacco, tea, and fruit. As the home of Dongfeng Motors, Jiangkyang is well-known automobile hub and partners with foreign manufacturers to produce Nissan and Infiniti models for domestic sales. In addition, there are a number of chemical fiber enterprises in the city, including Birla Jingvi Fibers, a member of the Aditya Birla Group. The city has also invested in many industrial, technology, and clean energy parks. ADAS ADAS is an international architectural firm that provides services in architecture, interior design, landscape design, urban design, master planning, and graphics. It was established in 2002 as an alliance between three existing companies in the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, and Australia. In mid 2014, the European and Asian arms of the company, originally Abbey Halford Rowe and LPT Architects respectively, demerged. The European arm, based in the UK, was renamed AHR. The Hong Kong-based Asian business kept the ADAS name. Immediately following the split, ADAS launched a London office that the company stated would mainly serve Chinese clients on projects in London. In 2015, ADAS acquired UK practice RSWL, including its arts team division. They were respectively renamed ADAS RSWL and ADAS Arts Team. Joytown in this isometric view shows how the project is divided into several parts. Each part has different function and plays a vital role. Starting from the courtyard offices, we have Joytown, then Celebration Square, Lifestyle Center, Hotel, and then clubhouses. Each part is placed chronologically with respect to its space, site context, and feature. This rendered view shows the admin part of the project. It is placed in such a way that it is feasible for workers to enter and exit with a direct road link. After that, it is designed with a lot of open space, which is connected to green areas for better sunlight and ventilation. This rendered view shows the Joytown. By its name, it reflects that it is designed to entertain the visitors. It has the latest designed high-end brand stores with more variety and a great shopping experience. They have added a courtyard to decrease saturated traffic of public. Since the Joytown is not only for adults, this place is designed for every age group. Lifestyle Center is the commercial space with very latest technology store. It will have all of the basic necessities required to live a lavish lifestyle. Clubhouse and hotel are designed for resting and sports activities. Health conscious people would be able to engage themselves with gym and sports, whereas lavish hotels are designed for five-star living experience. It will have all the facilities of the ultimate guest house experience. The circulation in this project is designed with very critical analysis and intricate details. For every kind of traffic, there are different pedestrians. Other than that, major drop-offs and public zones are provided with enough space to hold heavy traffic and simultaneously release with alternative pedestrians. This reduces chaos and more engaged streets. After that, each pedestrians are designed with enough space for both ways public traffic and less inconvenience. Professional critique. The design, based on material, shape and layout, generates a particular visual result. Merging traditional and contemporary building materials and techniques, the facade produces a dramatic effect. Moreover, inspired by the silhouette of Xiangyang's traditional sloping houses, slanted frames are incorporated into the building's facade as the entrance to retail stores, commercial displays, and terraces. The abstract sloping roofs create a staggering visual effect that unifies the overall structure. Capturing the traditional town through visual language, spatial scale, and spatial relationship, IDAS created a development that reinterprets streets and alleyways. The main street is situated on the west to exploit the wider and open view, while a second narrower street is situated on the east. The lower floor comprises of food and snack stalls, while the second floor connects to the main street and commercial and office space on the northerly through a connecting corridor. Program-wise, office spaces are arranged in courtyard-style groups, each with a drop-off area to facilitate the flow of people and traffic. Actually, the design positions office spaces with a low pedestrian flow in the detached commercial building on the north, and positions commercial space with the high pedestrian flow on the southern part of the site. Surrounded by water, the development also strategically incorporates environmentally friendly practices to develop a sponge city. Along with the purifying water through soil infiltration, the project prioritizes natural infiltration, landscape water storage belts, and local permeable paving. Conclusion. Overall, the idea of merging traditional and contemporary building materials and techniques is very much interesting, and it creates a contrasting effect. Moreover, inspired by the silhouette of Zhangjiang's traditional sloping houses, slanted frames are incorporated into the building's facade as the entrance to retail stores, commercial displays, and terraces reflects the traditional context of heritage. This whole idea of creating a recreational space which not only responds to tourism and culture but also to the sustainable and environmental friendly design broadens the horizon of how modern architecture can help us link history and nature together. Not only the visually aesthetic design can appeal our eyes, but open spaces connected with narrow circulated paths and nature can create a very appealing sense. Other than that, demands of a recreational space changes with respect to time, and this project also enlightens us that how we can connect several different functional bodies together for a complete different function.